Chat. How did it work? Let me make sure. How long have you been streaming? I don't know. What bait? I have somehow managed to get these Firefly Nova Flare haters to indirectly admit that I am correct about her entire value getting carried by Dahlia. This shit, it was worth it. This one day I stupidly spent, albeit on this dumbass topic, was worth it. It was worth it. I cannot believe this shit actually worked. Bro, frown free money glitch? No, you don't understand. Like, I'm not going to farm this anymore because I've already accomplished the goal at this point. I was going to make another video, but then I realized like the recent videos already doing it for me. So for those who don't know, right? For those who don't know what it is I'm like talking about, I have been of the opinion that the break team's value is like 99% Dahlia, and then it's like 1% Firefly, right? But people have been telling me that Firefly is completely fine and does not need a Nova Flare, right? So what I did was I made these videos of like Firefly versus Cassie, same investment with free to play team, and then the recent Heislands one was the one that finally hit home. This is the one that finally paid off. People in the comments are saying it's unfair, right? They're saying it's unfair to compare a 2.x DPS to a 3.x1, right? And this is an indirect like way of them saying Firefly is weak as shit, right? She's genuine garbage. The fact they're even comparing her to a Heislands is terrible, right? This comparison is so unfair. It makes them indirectly admit that they think Firefly is genuine trash without Dahlia, which is like, thank God, man. Like, thank fuck, bro. Ugh. Like, that's all I've wanted. Cool audio wallpaper, thanks. Look, it looks better this way. But yeah, I can just like leave this topic now because I have beta today. I think Asheville, E1 Asheville. I still need to decide what I want to do on my teams though. It's a good thing I already knew that. Well, like 99% of people know that. I'm not saying that this is something, right, that like a majority of people genuinely think that like Firefly holds her own weight in a break team. Like anybody with a brain wouldn't think that shit. But I just wanted to like, fool some people who have been very annoying on my channel and adamant that Firefly doesn't deserve a Nova Flare at all because her base kit is fine. Like, I can finally just leave this shit in the dust because I've accomplished what I wanted to. But yeah, the majority of people don't actually think that Firefly holds good value on the break team. She's the next best option, right? Like, she is the best option among options that are all doo-doo garbage, is kind of Firefly's situation. I should open my window. It's hot as shit. Yeah. Whoops. You pull Varka? I don't play Genshin. I was offline the whole day. What happened? Nothing. It's just me accomplishing my goal when it comes to Firefly Doomers. I accomplished it. I'm gonna be like that Vinland Saga guy. I have no enemies. Now it's just the next beta, so I can talk about it. Actually, let me get something to drink. I'll be right back, guys. 1 minute. Right back. Uh, apparently point 2 beta isn't tomorrow now. It's just Asheville V3 and it was changed. What do you think will be buffed in her kit? E2 and base kit. And E1 and E2 will get buffed some other way. Can of beer? No, I don't. No alcohol. Is the bait referring to the Kafka list dot versus Dahlia list break? Yes. I finally got people to indirectly admit that Dahlia carried the fuck out of the break team and Firefly is fucking trash. That's all I wanted. Because people were like, yo, you know, Gabby, I've never seen you go this hard on something. Like, not even Yao Guang. This is all I wanted, man. I was going to delete the videos if it didn't work. Break effect in Eidolons like Ling Shot. Yeah, they could do it on like the... If they add the SP positive... Well, it's more like neutrality to the enhanced state for Firefly and base kit, then yeah, you could replace it with like effect hit rate buffs, or sorry, not effect hit rate. No, the break effect. Isn't that obvious? You'd think, Mario. You'd think, but like half the Firefly haters across like the videos I've been making on Firefly, half of my comments are people trying to genuinely argue that Firefly's weight in a break team is like significant. And that even though Dahlia is incredibly valuable for break, Firefly still doesn't need a Nova Flare because she has no issues in her base kit anymore. Like, dead ass. I have people on like my community posts on my videos trying to say Firefly has like no issues and that she's fine because now Dahlia makes her strong. Break is tied to Dahlia now? Yeah, exactly. All I wanted for people to admit was that Firefly was just weak. So weak to the point that she can't even compare. Oh, I forgot my mic turns off by itself if I don't have it connected sometimes. But she's so weak that even I'd say Dot is probably the weakest team from Amphorius, right? Without Kafka, they're probably the weakest team in Ampho if you have no Cyrene and if you have no Huohuo, right? Like this is the point I brought up in my Dahlia, or sorry, yeah, the Dahlia Firefly Dot video. If you have Cyrene with Heislands, she can actually be a DPS. A lot of people don't know this. I'll show you in a second. So give me 1 second. I'll open up the site so you guys can kind of understand it. But like Heisland's DPS is something that can genuinely work. All right, right here. So, Cyrene's buff to Heislands is that when she skills, she regens, like, if I remember correctly, 60 energy or something like that, right? She regens like 60 energy. She gets an insane buff on her dot, and her skill does significantly more damage. And I think it detonates the dot, right? So Heislands is like a behemoth if you have Cyrene and you have like other supports as well, right? Right here. So a Heislands team. Oh wait, this is the wrong one. There isn't a Kafka list clear on this one because no one bothered. It's on the other one then. Probably Cocolia. So here's the Heislands team. 4 cost over here with Kafka. But you can scroll down and main DPS Heislands with Cyrene Cypher RMC has a 7 cost 0. Like the dot team, or at least Heisland specifically, I shouldn't say dot team. Heisland specifically can genuinely clear endgame content really well without Kafka if you invest into Cyrene. Like, obviously, if you don't have Cyrene, I'm not going to pretend this shit is... I'm not going to pretend this shit looks good. But, like, my point is, you look over here, and this is an issue. I'm probably going to make a video on this soon. It has nothing to do with Firefly, by the way. Right? Like, this video. It is the use of Battle Pass Lycones in low-cost clears. Right? You know, you guys give me your opinion in the chat and what you think about this. People on my videos recently have been trying to attack my points with the low cost zero cycles of Firefly with what shows up right here. But across every single endgame, it's +1 cost for Firefly, which people aren't seeing if you don't use Battle Pass Lycones. So this goes from what you'd see as 3, right, if you were here. It's actually 4 is the lowest you can get. The same goes over here in Harbinger. You go from 4, and then it's actually 5 without Battle Pass Lycones, which is on par with Fei Xiao and only 1 cost away from literally fucking Hunt March 7th. Like, bro, why is Hunt March 7th clearing 3 costs less than Acheron? You're trying to tell me Firefly holds her own weight in a break team when Hunt March 7th is going this crazy? It's never gonna happen. Paid so good I went back to sleep. Hello, Solus. No, the harmony cone for break is good. So did anybody else? I don't think anybody else has the break buff. Like, so this harmony break cone has an undiluted super break buff, I'm pretty sure, which is what makes it so goddamn strong. Like, this shit is really, really strong. And I think pre-Dahlia, it wasn't on a cone until Dahlia's came out. So this Battle Pass cone is always the difference maker of strong clears. And this is why across all endgames, if you don't use this Battle Pass cone with like super impositions on it, then you're going to need +1 cost across everything if you remove it. It has break damage boost. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, break damage boost. It's like a super rare undiluted buff. Who said she's holding on? A ton of people in my comments are trying to argue that Firefly actually carries a significant amount of the break team's weight against clearing endgame content. Which is like, I understand, right? She's the best option. But like I said earlier, it's a selection among doo-doo garbage. And to be honest, the other break DPSs, their vertical investment is significantly weaker than Firefly's. And this does play a pretty large part. And like, for example, you got, what is it, 5 cause 0 cycle from Firefly over here. If you go down here, like Rappa needs 9. Actually, I can probably just show you guys this real quick, how shit their vertical investment is. So if we go over here, Firefly's E2 is a 50% buff, but this is only damage, right? This is only damage. It does significantly more than this because look at the skill points, right? She consumes significantly less skill points now, meaning you can skill on the rest of the teammates and you get this 50% damage buff. Compare this shit to Shitpa. Son. Son. And then if we go to Boot Hill, just wow. Just wow, man. You know, now that I think about it, why did Eidolon scale so hard in V3? Like, I swear to God, almost every main DPS in Ampho from E0 to E2 is like 100% stronger. Aggie is 100%. Herta's is also like near 100%. Is there any Ampho main DPS that doesn't have like a 2x jump? I mean, I guess Cassie might be the lowest. Cassie's is, I think, 90%. Like 85, 90%. Yeah, Cassie's is probably the lowest of a main DPS. Oh, yeah, I know Everknight's the highest, yeah. But, like, this is literally all I've wanted, right? From this entire Firefly content farming fiasco. The only thing I've wanted people to admit is that 99% of the weight in a break team is solely Dahlia. And it is, like, Firefly is not all that, right? At least once she gets her Nova Flare, then yes. I imagine a Nova Flared Firefly is going to be exponentially better than every other option. And it's not even going to be close, right? I do think this. And I do think that other characters deserve a buff before Firefly. Like, obviously, dude. Look at Dill over here. Dill with his 10 cost. Jing Liu got Nova Flared. Dill hasn't. And Jing Liu is somehow still clearing worse than this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are definitely more deserving Nova Flares in this game for certain DPSs. But it's like, I just don't like the disingenuous people who are saying Firefly Base Kit has no issues. That shit has way too many issues. Firefly can't clear floor 11 without Dahlia? Okay, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far. But yeah. Then, I guess something else people brought up in my comments. This was only one person, though. So, you know, it's not like the, you know, denial of Firefly being ass and Dahlia carrying everything that is more commonplace. I only got one comment who was like, oh, but you're supposed to run Firefly sustainless. You genuinely think my Firefly is about to live My E2 Firefly with no Dahlia or Fugue is genuinely going to live against Bronya? Are you insane? I'm dead. I, I just die, bro. The only character who can run sustainless, the most reliable, is Phanon. Although in AA it's sketchy. But outside of AA, especially now with double action advancer, it's a lot more doable. Right? It's a lot more doable. But Firefly Break, if you can't meet the damage check or the investment check, it is really chopped in sustainless. Firefly needs more damage? Yeah. There is a Dahlia. Nova Flare is going to be crazy for her. Yeah. The only reason they made Dahlia sustain passive is so the difference between sustain and no sustain will not be huge. Yeah. I wonder. Okay, so for those who don't know, my current theory, excuse me, my current theory when it comes to Firefly getting indirectly buffed is that Himiko SP is a break DPS. So even though Firefly won't be the strongest break DPS anymore, she will be able to leech off of Himiko SP supports and sustain. And this would also mean there's likely not a Ling Shot Nova Flare. Have you seen questionable leaks saying Evanesia will be heavily skill point reliant? Nope. Himiko SP not fire? I mean, I don't know, dude. I think it's pretty likely. And if she is fire, then she would obviously synergize with Dahlia. And if Dahlia reruns 4.2, her next rerun would be 4.5, which is the patch right after Himiko released. I think it's decently likely. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but like out of anything you could guess currently with the current context clues we have here and there, the only thing that is most likely is her being break. But her limited version is actually break instead of like her old, as standard. I mean, you can use her in pure fiction, like standard Himiko in pure fiction actually works now because of Dahlia. I think at E2 being able to insta implant. Yeah. Yeah. We don't need more break DPSs. I mean, okay. In version 2, the first thing we got was Sparkle for buffing skill point hungry DPSs. In version 4, we got Sparkle buffed and a DPS who likes consuming a bajillion skill points. Right. So, you also have Gimmick Ult, which requires Elation characters generating Punchline, which is similar to Acheron, and you're kinda only missing Break. Also, version 1 had HP scalers. Version 3, they returned to the HP scalers again. Right. Version 1, they introduced Dot a little late in version 1. They also introduced Dot decently late in version 3. I don't know, man. They like doing parallels with their older patches. Yeah, exactly. There was Fei Xiao for follow-up DPSs, and now Ashvale. We know they've come back to the follow-up meta, and they're gonna release Ashvale's main DPS near the end of the version, which is literally just Fei Xiao. Fei Xiao came out later on in version 2. I think it was like 2.5, right, with Ling Sha. So Ashvale would literally be the exact same case scenario with his main DPS. They love revisiting their older shit and just changing it up. So literally the only thing missing from version 4 that isn't a parallel to version 2 is a new break DPS. And the only thing you can maybe like say, this wouldn't work, like Firefly Nova Flare. If you believe Firefly Nova Flare is like the equivalent to a new, limited break DPS, then maybe. But I don't think that's the case, personally. Yeah, there was also the possibility of a remembrance character. But like, if they make a remembrance character to buff Castress or Evernight, I'm gonna throw something out my window, dude. Pearl will be best in slot for Ash Bale since she'll be follow-up predictable. Blake, I don't know how to break this to you, but the ones who get best in slot sustains in a version are the shield DPSs. So Pearl is likely a best in slot sustain for Himiko. And then there's going to be an elation sustain down the line. If they wanted to make a follow-up sustain, it would have to be like a Nova Flared Avon. Which I do think is possible, by the way. I could definitely see a Nova Flared Avon. Well, there was a leak a while back that the entirety of Himiko's best in slot team would be tall woman. So I feel like you could fit Pearl in that pretty easily. Also, I don't know if this like IPC FUA thing is gonna be something that like stands, or if it's just like, you know, weird correlation. I want them to taste Firefly pre-Dahlia level. I kind of want to show you guys something. I haven't had this many viewers in a while, right? So this is actually a good time to like explain to you guys why Nova Flares are important, no matter what, if you have a weak base kit, right? This doesn't even have anything to do with Firefly. So I'm actually going to use Acheron for this example, and why Acheron deserves a Nova Flare. But like the hypocrisy in the way people use these low-cost zero cycles to justify someone not getting, a Nova Flare. So if we go over here to 3.3, and it's back when Acheron got Cypher and Nova Flare Silverwolf, by the way. So you can see over here, Pure Fiction, Acheron's getting 5 cost zero cycles again. Oh my god. Look at that. Crazy. Right? If you go to MOC and you go to True Sting, Acheron back then was getting like 3 cost zero cycles. Shit was crazy. Right? As you can see here, 3 cost zero cycle now that she got Cypher. And the next best Zhaoq team is 2 more cost. So Acheron, when she got the indirect buffs, well, I think Cypher was direct, but Silverwolf wasn't. When she got these buffs, she was in a better spot at clearing endgame than Firefly with Dahlia currently is. Right. Like, Acheron was stronger at the time than fucking Firefly with Dahlia currently is. So, now, when you look at an Acheron, she needs 5 cost against one of the easiest bosses in the game for her to deal with. And then against Harbinger, she needs 9. Right? Like, she is all the way fucking down here. Like, if you put... let's say theoretically, you released Dahlia back in 3.3. Hunt March 7th would probably be what, like a top 3 DPS for low cost zero cycles? At least at the time. At least. But this is my point, right? This is only a 6 patch difference. This is only a 6 patch difference, which is about 9 months, right? 8 or 9 months. Yet it is a wait, no, it's 5. I'm stupid. Oh my god, sorry. It's about a 7.5 month difference. And Acheron has already fallen this far because she relied on fucking indirect buffs like Cypher and Nova Flared Silverwolf, but they never Nova Flared Acheron herself and her Eidolons. So now she's struggling like fucking shit, which is my point. In my opinion, this is why it's always important that this game Nova Flares the DPSs, right? Supports, it's good to release new supports if you want to sell them and make money. It's good to Nova Flare supports, but you need to also Nova Flare DPSs, because if you don't, they are so damn reliant on the support carrying them that once enough HP inflation hits, the amount of investment you need to clear the same that you did like half a year ago is exponentially higher. Exponentially. Because you don't got Eidolons and Acheron to go to. You don't got vertical investment. You don't got any other teammates you can rely on to carry you. Like, genuinely. It's so sad. Yeah, exactly. Like, Blade and Jing Liu are great examples. They were cautious with how much they buffed Blade and Jing Liu, because they were so scared of like, oh, if we buff these guys too much, and they also have the Hyacine Tribby comp, like, do we really want to do this? Because keep in mind, Hyacine Tribby wheelchair isn't anywhere near as effective as it currently is as it used to be, right? So back then it actually meant a lot. Now these guys are fucking suffering for it. Jing Liu is getting beaten by, what the fuck is this? Like, how have you gotten a Nova Flare? You're getting beaten by Dill. You're getting beaten by main DPS Cypher. You're getting beaten by main DPS Yao Guang. Like, please, Hoyo, buff and prioritize Nova Flares for the DPSs before you do them for the supports. Please, this is the best way to do it. Because, like, for example, even Fei Xiao, by the way, who is getting buffed soon with Ashvale probably, like, this is what I mean. The support is so strong that now Fei Xiao's value as a follow-up DPS, quote unquote, it's gone. We used to, have Fei Xiao on this pedestal of like being the type of DPS to clear, right, for follow-up. And now she is literally hindering Ashvale if you put Ashvale in her team, despite him being a literal follow-up sub DPS meant to support follow-up DPSs. She's that weak. This wouldn't be the case if she herself got Nova Flared. Yeah, exactly, Solus. And on top of this, you end up getting bullshit things like Sparkle, right? Like, in the support category, I mean, like, what were they thinking when they made this character? It genuinely makes me mad thinking about it again. How did this character make it into the game? I went on Fribbles and I saw that an E0 Sparkle was a significantly better buffer than an E1 Mei for my Anoxa, with, keep in mind, a high ass amount of defense shred. So E1 Mei is getting favored here because of her E1 with the defense shred. And still, E0 Sparkle is way stronger. Like, what? But yeah, so it's like there's already so many support options in this game and like indirect support power creep. I care so much more about DPSs getting Nova Flared because they need the vertical investment to go into if they no longer get shilling in supports, or they get fucked over in supports, right? And that's just better. Like, for example, Fei Xiao over here. Yeah, Fei Xiao's lowest cost clear is with E2. And I bet you they're using Windset and spamming the fuck out of it. Because Fei Xiao has a good E2, right? I think Fei Xiao's E2 is like a 70% buff to her. Let me see. Yeah, look. A 70% buff from going from E0 to E2. This is significantly larger than almost every other version 2 DPS. The only other one that comes close is probably Firefly, right? Everybody else is significantly worse. So if you gave Nova Flare DPSs from V2 like this level of Eidolon investment, people wouldn't be complaining as much. But instead, you get fucking Rappa, who by the way came out after Fei Xiao, who has vertical investment that looks like this. And then Boot Hill. I mean, like, are we serious? What if in this version we get 4 teams that are the same level of strength as Dot, Monorem, Break, and Elation? What? Like combined? Or separately? Because if you're talking about 4 teams stronger than Monorem, that's definitely going to happen. That's not even a question. I bet you every single main DPS from version 4 is going to be stronger than every single V3 team. I don't even give a fuck about Monorem. They're still getting their asses power crept. I'm sorry, if Ashvale makes it to live and his performance with generalist supports is a sign of something, and we're also getting the 2 Elation main DPSs finally in 4.2. Bye-bye, Monorem. Bye-bye, E2 Phanon. I mean, it's like... By the way, in comparison, 5 targets is where it gets crazy, though. But yeah. I still regret pulling E2 Phanon. Chill, chill, chill. That's not what I'm saying here. E2 Phanon is still going to be very good for clearing endgame content for a good time. And I like, if we... Holy burp. If we go over here, he's the only Amphorius DPS who gets the lowest cost 0 cycles without any best in slots. He's literally the only one. Evernight with RMC Cyrene. We have Anoxa, Cyrene, Sarij. I mean, I want to see Anoxa's best clear without Cyrene, Saridra. $12 cost. Beautiful. But yeah, he's the only one who doesn't need best in slot supports among the Ampho DPSs. Isn't his S5 better than E6? Context. Context. Yes, pure damage wise. However, very often against most enemy lineups with Phanon, you do waste some of his damage, which makes the E6 true damage on Meteor stronger, in my opinion. But yes, if you're going against like a shared HP boss, the Lycone would come out on top. And the Lycone's cheaper. Yeah, we are talking 0 cycles. Like, this is clearing within around 300 AV at max. If you're just trying to clear within a 5 cycle, it's like 650 AV. Or even more than that for the average person. Like, E2 Fae is going to last a very, very good while. Is it true that Eagle set is really good? Just Depends, but yeah. Eagle is best in slot for Kafka. Eagle is best in slot for E2 Faye because of how much she spams her ultimate. Eagle's like used on Pela, RMC with high enough speed investment. Like the zero cyclers are the ones that really love Eagle, right? Zero cyclers really love Eagle. Same with like Sparkle. For Sparkle, if you are crazy enough and you have S5 DDD and you can hit, I think, what is it, 167 speed? If you can hit that with S5 DDD and Eagle, then she can get, I think, 3 turns in a zero cycle. But it's mainly the zero cycle lovers who do this shit. I am hopeful buff Firefly will be the same strength as Mono Rem. Does it need to be stronger? No, she definitely will. Okay, not in Pure Fiction. I think this is something, like every character has a weak. Mono Rem has no weakness. Okay, and this is going to be the one thing that gives them a little more value. Mono Rem has 0 weakness. I guarantee you Firefly is still going to struggle a lot in Pure Fiction. But in like MOC and APOC, yeah, Firefly is probably going to be as strong, if not stronger, in all honesty, after Nova Flare. Mono Rem was a mistake. I mean, Mono Rem at base isn't as broken as a lot of people think, and it's mainly because of Everknight's existence. Like main DPS Everknight beats Mono Rem in, it's not even just like one nitpicked mode, right? Like main DPS Everknight beats Mono Rem in everything until you get into like 10 plus cost range. Like if we go to Pure Fiction, Everknight Hypercarry is lower cost than, what is this? Mono Rem, it's 8, right? 8 is the lowest cost for Mono Rem, and then Everknight it's 4. If we go to APOC, Everknight is at 2, and then Cassie's at 3, and then Mono Rem is probably all the way down there. It's like in MOC, Everknight is at 3, Mono Rem is at 5. You know what I'm saying? Main DPS EV is Mono Rem 2. Yeah, but I don't know. When people say Mono Rem, I assume they're talking about this team right here. Well, remove RMC with Cyrene. Have you seen the Ash Veil 2 cost 0 cycle AA King stage with sustain? What? Wait, what? What? That exists? Um. What? I don't think a single team has ever come that anywhere near that close to a 0 cycle in AA. I don't think a single one. Five is the lowest of all time. Oh. Oh wait, no. These are the knights. These are the knights. Yeah. Sick. 5 is the lowest of all time. A 2 cost. Okay. Ashvale's beta is in 10 hours. This will go one of 2 ways. One, he gets nerfed, and it's a good sign for the future of this game, right? They nerf his damage numbers, but they increase his sub DPS value by allowing him to spam attacks more often, Right. I think that's what I'd like. 2, his damage doesn't get nerfed, and this is a very bad sign for things to come. These are the only 2 options. He gets nerfed, and we're safe. He doesn't get nerfed, and we're fucked. It's 4 cost. They didn't count Sparkle and Danny. I mean, even then, like, keep in mind, Lygus is a shield boss for Evernight by a mile. These 2, it couldn't get more shield at all. It could not get more shield for these 2 with Lygus. And it's still better. And he's not even relying on E2 investment, keep in mind. I bet that Ashvale is like at max E1 or something. I bet he's like E1 with like S0 or some bullshit in that clear. Like he doesn't even rely on some huge ass E2 jump for being like 2.5x as strong. Ashvale E1, Don Hung E1, and then buff Sparkle. So in total, it's 5. Okay. Okay. This is a little more believable. See? This is ever so slightly a little more believable. It's still insane. It's still insane. But that is 5 cost technically. Because you have E1 Ashvale, E1 Don Hung, and then buff Sparkle, which is 5. It's not 5, it's 4. Why? Because you don't count Don Hung PT? Because he's like claimable free right now? It wasn't E1 Don Hung. I mean, yeah. I don't know, bro. Can we just watch it? No, because then I have to delete thing. So, do you guys think it was a little too early for me to say that he'd get buffed in V3? Was that like maybe too presumptuous? Or what? Isn't he a better debuffer than the actual debuffers? Well, he's similar to Cypher, kinda. In base kit, he's decently similar to Cypher, but Cypher has the unique gimmick of true damage in recording it, and then his unique gimmick is just buffing follow-up damage. But yeah, Cypher's is automatically put vulnerability, no effect hit rate needed. His is automatically put vulnerability, or sorry, defense shred, no effect hit rate needed. Do you realize he shouldn't get buffed? I mean, it's like, didn't you say he was fine before? I did. Here's the thing. He was, even if he was getting low, okay, it's one thing to get low cost 0 cycles against MOC, right? It's another thing to get incredibly low cost 0 cycles against Anon with no shield supports and shitty ass vertical investment, right? Like, they are 2 astronomically different things, which is what makes that so impressive from Ashvale. Because his E2 is mid. Like, it's literally just his E1 that's actually decent. His E2 is incredibly mid. His Lycone is damn near useless for increasing his own damage. he needs to rely on generalist support Eidolons, and to still get performance like that. Like, for example, if we were to take the fact that Ashvale is a quote-unquote sub-DPS, right? And his vertical investment is this trash, and he's still performing this well at these cost levels. Imagine Anniversary comes, we get Silverwolf SP, full elation team, stronger than Ashvale, and then she has significantly stronger Eidolon investment because she's an actual like main DPS shield for elation, right? Like, you have to kind of take Ashvale and his strength, and it's like the baseline, or it's probably going to be the baseline for every future main DPS for the rest of this version. And in reality, current hypercarry Ashvale performance would probably end up being on the weaker side long term, right, for the rest of this version. I mean, they only raise HP radiance in comparison to character strength. Like, for example, during Ampho actually had less HP inflation percentage wise as compared to the last version. And the big spike of HP inflation near the end of it came with the release of Cyrene. And they held it until it was Cyrene's release. But then again, I do guess, like, if we go back to 3.3, 1 cost 0 cycles were possible and 2 cost. This is just kind of restarting that. Like, new DPSs at the beginning of a version, before the fat HP inflation hits because of how much stronger they are, get 1 and 2 cost 0 cycles. And then later on, when let's say you are in 3.7, actually no, let me do 3.6 pre-Cyrene, right? You're in 3.6. Oh, people use Cyrene, you fucking cheaters, man. You're in 3.5, and the cost increases across the board for a majority of them. Archer 4 cost. I mean, Sam is shield as fuck for Archer. I don't like using Sam. I think Hule is probably a better one. So it's 4 cost, and then 3.4 with Svarog is 1. And then Avin is 1. Yeah, Radiance. That's the one I'm talking about here. 32% HP inflation from 2.7 to 3.6. And then Cyrene gave another 32% in 3.7 alone. Yeah. Yeah, I know. This is mostly the MOC buff, by the way. There was a shield skill MOC buff that allowed this to be possible. Man, Fei Xiao, 2 cost. I mean, if I go in 3.3, yeah, Fei Xiao, her cost has kind of gone up by a lot. She used to just do this shit at E0. I think these days it's only E2, like her lowest cost ones. Yeah, E2 5, and oh no, this one's E0. To be fair, it's just E2 Robin. Oh, they're using Battle Pass Cone though. I fucking hate Battle Pass Cones. Hello, Sodic. As someone who pulled for Yao Guang and wants Silverwolf, your videos are the only things keeping me hopeful that I haven't bricked my account. I'll pull for Silverwolf no matter what. I'm glad to hear that. I hope it ends up going well. I'm like really confident Yao Guang would be best in slot. But to be honest, I don't really want to harp on this entire Yao Guang thing anymore. I'm just gonna wait till the beta at this point, and I'll take the hit if I'm wrong. But it's just like I don't see any way that Yao Guang isn't best in slot. Oh, I see, JP. Do you think there is a way to save My Day from being dead? I mean, My Day isn't even bad. Like, My Day is pretty consistently on, like, the top low-cost zero cyclers, I'm pretty sure. Like, he has 3 here. He has 5 here. Which, yes, isn't, you know, the greatest. But it's something, right? Like, please do not be fooled by these Firefly clears, bro. No battle passes 5, so it's about the same as Firefly with Dahlia. APOC, he has some of the lowest cost clears against APOC. And then Anon. Oh wait, this is Plight. Against Anon, he's also one of the lowest cost ones. Siren carrying My Day? I mean, yes. True. I won't deny it. But, you know. What do you think about Aglaya Ho gonna buff her? Yeah, probably. I think Huohuo, the team she's mainly gonna buff, one, obviously Elation. They love the ER gen with Yao Guang and Sparksy. But it's Dot. I think Dot, outside of Elation, is probably gonna benefit the most sustain team wise from a Nova flared Huohuo. All Fireflies are E2, are they? E2. No, this one's E0. This one has E0. And then APOC. Yeah, E0 Firefly is decent. The thing is, E2 Firefly isn't an insane jump, right? At least pure damage wise. So sometimes you can just go, you can put the vertical investment in Dahlia, or you can put the vertical investment in Fugue, and it can be competitive. Like Firefly ain't no Phanon. She does have some of the best E2 investment from the version, but it's like, what was it, like 50%? Oh, whoops. I pressed Dahlia by accident. Yeah, pure damage wise, it's 50%. I mean, the reason you see Firefly E2 mergence is because before Dahlia, yeah, you wanted E2 Firefly. Pre Dahlia, there wasn't really better vertical investment for Firefly. So it was like, because keep in mind, people were so desperate to get good clears with Firefly pre Dahlia that they were genuinely putting in E1 Tribby sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, people would unironically put in E1 Tribby because they were just that desperate for any buff they could give her. Five target support for Herda. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was talking about this a little earlier when people were asking me like, how would you buff Herda? I genuinely do not think Herda needs a buff. She got she is in a similar situation as Saber. You know what I'm saying? Where like the quote unquote best in slot teammate she got, the only one you can really consider a best in slot is Tribby in my opinion. This is literally the only one. Anoxa was a very mid buff, and she doesn't have a shield sustain either. Now, unlike Saber, she is a deity in pure fiction, and she actually has good vertical investment to go into. So when you go over here, for example, Yeah, Herta's lowest cost clears are with E2. And that's why she clears so much better than a fucking Saber. Because Saber's vertical investment is like significantly worse than Herta's. So Saber and Herta are in similar situations, in my opinion. Like, when I was cooking up a possible best in slot for the Herta that isn't a Noxa, I accidentally came up with basically Jade. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was doing this a few days ago and I accidentally came up with Jade's kit, but basically Nova Flare Jade. And allow her to maybe do more damage during single target. Herta buffs Anoxa more than he buffs her? Yeah, exactly. Like, the main reason you pull Anoxa for Herta, well, okay, the old reason why you pulled Anoxa for Herta was that it was to make up for the single target situations for Herta. But then people came to the realization of, like, why don't I just run Anoxa hyper carry and get lower cost clears than pairing him with Herta? And that's when it all fucking fell through. The second people came to the realization this guy was stronger than Herta was when he just got fucking removed as her sub DPS. And then Hoyo played into it even more by making it so that Cyrene and her main buff for Anoxa is just to buff his main DPS. Right? They did change it in the beta so that it also buffs Herta now, but it's like, if you're buffing Anoxa this much with a Cyrene, 12 stack thingy, like, you'd rather him be main DPS to get that fat damage off than be sub DPS when he's getting indirectly buffed. You live in an animal shelter? No, it's just my dog. My dog whines no matter what whenever my family temporarily leaves. Well, it's my grandma's dog. So, like, literally, the second she closed that door, the dog started barking and whining. He just does this every time. It's a Shih Tzu. My dog also like that, yeah. I mean, he isn't like that. Like, for example, if, cause I don't like doing vacations. Okay, listen, my vacations are just me chilling and watching anime or watching TV shows or doing something else. So when my family goes on vacations and I'm alone here, he doesn't do this shit. Like, he does for a few days, but after, he isn't like this. The reason he's like this is because my grandma just absolutely fucking spoils his ass. Spoils him constantly. So he just goes back to his old ways the second they come back, and I have to deal with it. A lot of the time, by the way, when you see me with my fuck sleep schedule, like currently, it is not my own fault. This dog will bark like this at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and that's what leads to my fuck sleep schedule most of the time. But like, at this point, I'm just used to it, man. I'm just accustomed to it. Do you think they made Anoxa earlier bad investment earlier bad because he's too strong? No. They just made Anoxa's early investment bad because they originally planned him to only be a sub DPS for Herda. Like, I bet they probably regret not giving Anoxa a better Eidolon investment like the rest of the main DPSs. I don't think they ever planned to make Anoxa an actual main DPS, ever. It was like an indirect thing. You can tell this too. I think the number one way you can tell this is Ceridra, right? Sari, in her earlier kit, was never meant for buffing Anoxa, right? Never. So the buff that she gave on skill only worked on people who were in a departed state. So Sari, very clearly in Hoyo's eyes, was supposed to be a Phanon best in slot and nothing else. And it was only after a few versions of the beta that they removed the, oh, you need to be departed in a departed state to get this buff. And they made it synergize with Anoxa. And then they probably played into Cyrene, fully making him into a main DPS. Right. So, in my opinion, originally, they just never planned for him to genuinely be a main DPS. They fully planned for him to just be a Herta sub. No, I agree. They could make, like, they could make Ashvale have, let's say, okay, Phanon's a little unfair. Eggy, right? A Glea level E0 to E2 jump, and it would be way better in my opinion, personally. Okay? But I do think they really want to sell him as a sub DPS for whoever the future follow-up main DPS is, so it's questionable whether or not they want to do it. Well, Everly, what it was Ceridra had no unique buff for Phanon in her earlier version. So what they did was on the double meteor, right? You do get res pen or the double skill. But when they added this res pen, the first time they added it, it was locked to character needs to be in a departed state. But yes, the normal skill buff Anoxa could always take advantage of. He just couldn't take advantage of the extra res pen buff in the double skill. Because you had to be departed for it. And then they removed it. Mm, like, okay, the one thing that bothers me about Anoxa, though, and like his shitty vertical investment is Evernight. Like, this is the only thing that kind of bothers me when we talk about this. It's like, Evernight Eidolons are like literally the strongest in the game, and she's also a sub DPS for Cassie. Like, couldn't you make Anoxa's Eidolons synergize incredibly well with Herta while also significantly increasing his damage? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. That's the only thing that kind of bothers me. They really gave Evernight preferential treatment, in my opinion. I wonder when Fei Xiao will get a buff. Probably like V5. Late V4. Somewhere around there. If she gets a buff. The only reason I don't think they're gonna Nova Flare Fei Xiao in this version is because Ashvale, like his main DPS, and he's like follow up, right? Like if you Nova Flare Fei Xiao, I mean people are gonna say fuck you to the new follow up main DPS probably. I'd assume they don't want that. So they're probably gonna make Fei Xiao mains take the hit for a while, and then Nova Flare her in like V5 when the follow up meta is over. Also, in their eyes, the indirect buff with Ashvale might make them think that like Fei Xiao can hold on fine for the rest of the version, just slightly with good investment. Because I imagine like E2 Fei with E1 Ashvale with E1 Robin, it's expensive, don't get me wrong, but that's probably enough for clearing endgame content for at minimum the majority of this version, even V4, in my opinion. I could end up being wrong though. Alright, chat. Gonna end the stream here. I already streamed multiple times today. And probably when I wake up next, it's gonna be the beta, so we'll see how V3 Ashvale goes. Does he get nerfed? Does he get buffed? Who knows? Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Peace out.